Hey, everybody.
Hello.
Welcome to the Momsplanation. We have a reoffender on today's episode.
She came back for more.
Yeah, she liked us so much the first time, she had to come back. I think it had to do with the phone falling off the wall during the recording. Probably. I think that really, reeled her in. These girls are serious about podcasting. They tape photos to the wall. Oh, phones to the wall. Tape. Yeah. They are excellent.
Yeah, let's do this again.
Yeah, so luckily for us, she came back because, we put together a really good episode with her. Mm-hmm. She's got a great message, mom of 3 boys, different dads, exes, challenges, growing up stuff. There's a lot of good stuff that we chatted about. I really enjoyed. I personally found a lot in common with Christa. Mm-hmm. And, we have a new connection as a result, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
So there are no phones taped to the wall during this recording. I'm sorry for your disappointment about that. But we have a lot of good stuff talked about. And
there were cupcakes. So
yeah, there's always cupcakes with Christa. Yeah.
Always.
If you need a cupcake or a cake, she's the girl. Mm-hmm. I think we've said that a few times.
Yeah.
So hopefully she's getting some business.
I hope so.
Anyways, we hope you enjoy this episode. She's as sweet as her cupcakes, if not sweeter. Mm-hmm. Have a great day, guys.
Bye, guys.
You're listening to the Momsplanation. Real life, real moms, real talk.
Hey, everybody. Hey, girl. Welcome to the Momsplanation podcast. We are here with Christa today. Welcome.
Hi.
Thanks for coming back.
No problem.
She's a repeat offender. She liked us so much the first time she had to come back.
Back for more.
That's right. We're so entertaining. How are you?
Good. How are you?
So good.
Good.
So tired. So good. So we're recording this just after March break, so I've just survived March break. Did you survive? Did you have your boys?
Barely.
Yeah. I had all 4 kids at home too. 4 kids at home for March break. And it's so funny because, when we decided when the 4th child was upon us, it wasn't really a decision, he came upon us, I talked with my kids about okay, we're about to have 4 kids, and if we want mommy to stay home, there's going to be some sacrifices that we have to make, right? My older 2, yeah, it's good.
Flashing?
Oh, why is it flashing? Oh, someone hit the button, that's why. I told them, they're used to going on vacations and stuff like that. And I said, if mommy doesn't have a job, we're going to there are going to be some cutbacks. Yeah. Right? So, in the summer, I started teaching them about money and stuff. So I talked to them about cutbacks. Anyways, so doesn't Mila come home the week before March break and say, oh, so-and-so's going on a cruise, and so-and-so's going to Florida. So-and-so's doing, what are we doing? Where are we going? And I'm like, we're going to Milton. We're staying in Milton. That's what, but what are we doing? And I was like,
nothing.
I don't know. Hanging out. We are hanging out. And she's like, oh, total disappointment on her face. And I was like, remember the cutbacks we talked about? I'm this is part of the cutbacks.
Their expectations are so high now. Just so high but it's totally different generation.
Yeah,
we didn't really do vacations much when I was growing up.
Well, and that's what Daniel said about vacations too. He's I went on my first family vacation when I was 17. I don't know about family vacations. Yeah. What are you talking about? Yeah. But he comes from a 4-kid family too. So, when you have that many kids, it's a little bit more challenging. And I don't work. I really don't work. Yeah. So, it's it's one income. And
finances are not. It's so hard nowadays, especially when you have multiple, children.
Yeah.
And the resorts are not, family friendly for, over 5. And
No, definitely. So, we did a staycation. I taught them about staycation for March break. And so Caleb today, I swear to you, he was pepping himself up. Because you go back to school, I remember this, and everyone's like, what did you do? Yeah. What did you do? And so this morning he's killing me. He's like, I had the best March break, Mom. I was like, oh yeah? And he's like, yeah. And he's listing off all these things that he did. And I was like, I'm glad you're happy with that. That's great, honey. I'm so happy for you. But I'm internally I'm I feel kind of guilty, right? Because my parents did take us places, but there was only 2 of us. My mom's second
Yeah.
marriage, she was married to a radiologist, so
Yeah.
like there was some money happening there.
Yeah.
And like so, you know, we
Yeah.
and my grandparents I know helped a lot, right?
Yeah.
Because they had lots of money.
Yeah.
But it's like it's just me and Daniel here, and that's
it's so
it.
expensive. Like
Oh,
it's just
I know.
everything is so expensive now. Like
So we booked Great Wolf Lodge for my daughter's second birthday because like I can't be bothered to do a party,
yeah.
right? Because it's just I don't know, I just can't. So one night in a room that's like decent enough for all 6 of us to be in there. Like how much do you think that
Like
cost?
$500.
Yeah, $600.
Yeah.
I'm
But
like,
that's not including food.
what?
Now you
No!
gotta pay for food
Just
and like
Park admission and a night.
Yeah.
it's so
in a bed.
crazy.
Yeah, but I made sure I got a room that had a fridge so that
so
we
you
can bring
stuff.
food.
Yeah.
Because I'm not like participating in this
Yeah.
$70 dinner. For,
Yeah.
like,
I
my
went with a friend
kids.
and that's what we did. We didn't take the guys, we just went with the kids and we brought breakfast and we brought like
Yeah.
milk and cereal and then
Yeah.
all the snacks. And then we did we may have snuck 1 or 2 into the buffet.
But I feel like you can leave, like it's Niagara Falls, so you
Yeah.
can leave and go somewhere
You
on
can,
the
of
strip, right?
course,
To like a
yeah.
regular restaurant. Like I've been a couple of
Denny's
times,
for
but like,
$3.99.
The buffet didn't work. It wasn't that expensive though, from what I remember. But you could like lie about the ages and like
Yeah.
so it's
For sure.
yeah. But like pizza's expensive and like all that kind of stuff.
well, because we're vegan, like there will be nothing for us to
Oh
eat.
yeah, true.
Yeah.
You might have to do the buffet.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, like, for me with my older kids, like, I send them out into the world. If they decide to
Yeah.
eat cheese and
Of
meat and
course,
whatever,
yeah.
like, that's your decision. You
Yeah.
haven't been vegan for that long.
Mhm.
Just in our house, like, we don't have it.
Yeah.
But, you know, I'm not going to pay $40 for, like, a
Yeah.
cheese pizza
Yeah,
for them
true.
at Great Wolf Lodge. Like, it's not happening.
Yeah.
Sorry. But anyways, I do have some mom guilt about not taking them places. That is for sure.
But even March break camps are crazy expensive too.
Oh, a camp
Yeah,
is
we opted
expensive.
out of camp this year. Well, I did send them. They went to their grandparents for a couple of days, but they made up for it in like the Thursday and Friday that they were home.
Yeah.
It was probably worse than the whole week.
Yeah.
So,
I had this angel woman come to my house. So we swap play dates with our boys.
oh,
Like,
nice.
so she came on Saturday, picked him up at 2:30. She came and picked him up first of all.
Wow.
And then she says to me, I almost kissed her on the mouth. She's like, "What time is bedtime?" And I was like 9 or 10. He goes on March break.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, "Okay, I'll bring him back around that time." And I was like, "Oh, I love you. Goodbye."
Oh, bye.
I'm like, "Take him and go."
Yeah.
Like, have
So
a
then
wonderful
you're gonna
time.
take her child?
Well, he's already been here a couple of
Oh,
times.
yeah.
So like, you know,
Yeah.
my mentality with playdates is that like they entertain themselves. It's really
Yeah.
not a lot of work for
No.
me. It's actually much nicer for me when
Yeah.
they have a friend here.
Yeah.
Because they also fear me saying they can't have them back if they misbehave.
Of course. Yeah.
So
and they don't
it's-
want you yelling at them in front of their children.
Right. So it's like a
I mean, not that we yell or anything.
beautiful
but-
thing. No, I definitely yell. So it's like a beautiful thing, right? So
Yeah.
I'm like so about it. But I had such a bad week last week. On Saturday when she said this to me, I was like, "I love you.
Yeah.
I love you. Thank you for giving me this gift today."
Yeah.
And like my mom is pretty good because she's a teacher too, so
Yeah.
she was off, so she took them some places.
Oh, that's good.
But like even they were asking to go to the movies. I'm like, no, I'm not taking you to the movies. Like I don't like dealing with crowds, so like I'm not going.
Not
Like,
only
there's no
that, I
way.
find it like super overwhelming with like all of them, and there's big crowds, and
Yeah. Well, you have a 3-year-old, and I find that
Mhm.
3-year-olds are like super
It's
difficult
terror.
to navigate
Yeah.
through crowds
oh,
and
it's,
people.
it's impossible, and he wants to be carried, and so you
Yeah.
go to the movies, and you have one kid that's barely hanging off your body,
Yeah.
and then you've got like 5 popcorns and
Yeah.
drinks, and
Yeah.
then like the other kids are one's
God
a
knows
runner, so he's that way, and
Yeah.
it's just
It's not family friendly, and
It's
I've said
not.
this many times
they
where
need to
I
have
feel like
carts or like
Yes!
boxes or
they
something.
need to have something that's helpful to families.
I
Because
know.
it's like, oh, I have 7 popcorns and
Where do
4
they
or
go?
5 kids with me. Like, what am I supposed to do? It's like,
Yeah.
okay, can you hold my popcorns here? I'm gonna like get my kids set up, and then
Yeah.
I'll do my 7
You should
trips.
pay, and then they should come deliver it to you once you're
Yeah,
in your
can
seat.
you imagine?
Yeah,
Yeah,
well, like
they
that's
have,
like the
yeah,
VIP,
but it's
right?
19 plus
I know.
the VIP. But
They
yeah, they
should
come
have
to
that
you.
service. It's
Yeah.
so hard.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
so hard, and you're like, I'm bound to drop something or like
Yeah.
spill pop on somebody or
Yeah, I know. I still have not taken my 2-year-old to the movies. I was taking the other 2 when they were that age to the movies, but
Yeah.
she's So I think we've talked about how Finn and Daenerys
Yeah.
are like sort of similar
Yeah.
in the fact that like they're
Crazy.
crazy people.
Yeah.
So it's like I feel like it's not going to happen for a while. Like
Yeah.
I don't think that she's
I
up
do
to the
take
challenge.
him. He's actually really good, but again, he's a little bit older, and I
Yeah.
think I started taking him probably around 3.
Yeah, I think I have a full year.
But like he
she's
wants
just
to go to
about
the
to be two.
bathroom, and then if it's just me and
Yeah.
not like with Greg, then I have to take all 3 kids to the bathroom, and they're mad because they want to stay and watch the movie.
Yeah.
And so it's more stress to go to these places than it is to just not.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just say no.
And that's why I don't go.
Yeah.
And I was talking to my girlfriend. She has 4 kids as well, and she's like, I don't take my kids anywhere. I
Yeah.
hate going places with my kids.
I know.
I'm like, I know, isn't that terrible? But
Yeah.
it's so true.
Like, it's funny because Greg will take them like to skating for like I hate arenas. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I don't like the cold. I find that everyone's so cliquish and like
Yeah.
I feel like everyone's judging you and I don't know how to put their skates on.
Yeah.
So anyways, Greg's taken
It's
them
definitely
a
a
couple
club.
times. Yeah.
Like hockey, figure skating. Like it's a club.
is.
Yeah.
And I am not like I'm actually if I don't know you, I don't talk to you because I'm awkward. I'm socially awkward if I'm not
Yes.
comfortable.
Yes.
And so I probably come off as a bitch. But
Yeah.
it's not that. It's just that I don't know what to say to you.
Yeah.
And so I'll smile and if you approach me then we'll have a great conversation.
Yeah.
But he's been taking them to skating on his own and he's like, it was fine. It's totally fine.
Yeah, but I
But I'm
feel like
like,
men
how?
don't get like overwhelmed.
But he probably sends the
same
kid
way.
to the bathroom on his
Yeah,
own.
true.
Yeah.
I probably
You got
don't even
this.
want to know what happens there.
Oh, Dino,
but-
100%. If he takes the kids to the movies and Mila has
Yeah,
to go to the
do your
bathroom,
shit,
I'm
bye.
sure he's like, okay, have a good one. Like, I'm watching the Avengers. Like,
Yes.
I'll look for you to come back. You know what I mean? Like, he's not stressed about that. Like, literally yesterday, I sent my son to the neighbor to play. And I went to go get him, and nobody answered the door. I had a panic attack. Like, someone kidnapped my kid.
Oh.
He's not at the neighbor's. And Dana's
Oh.
like, can you, like, take it down 3 levels? I'm like, no. Like, I don't
Where's
trust
my kid?
people.
No.
I don't know about people. He's like, they live
Yeah.
right next door. I'm like, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
So I made the mistake of watching this documentary on Netflix,
Oh, no.
Abducted in Plain Sight.
Yeah.
Oh God.
I can't
And I was
watch
like,
it.
I can't be that stupid. Like, these people look so stupid. Like, why they would
But I
even
feel
go
like
on
they really
TV.
are stupid. Like
Yes.
there's a lot of naive people in this world, and it makes you think how.
But, so, like, for me, yesterday, I'm thinking, like, yeah, I think these people are normal.
Yeah.
But, like, how do I know that they're not, like, hanging cats
Because
by
there's 2 different kinds of people.
like,
There's
cars.
naive people, and there's like people like us that are like
Yeah.
paranoid.
Right. Right.
There's no in between.
Right. So it's like I would rather be the paranoia
Yeah.
woman
Mhm.
and, like,
Yeah,
you know,
same.
not have these things happen to my kid than be, you know,
Yeah.
the Clampetts from California that had their kid abducted by the same man,
I
you know, 3 times or whatever.
I know.
Like, it's just, it seems insane. But, like,
I know. I
that's
haven't
the
brought
level
myself
that
to
I
watch
go
that
to.
yet.
Oh, yeah. It's, you know what? Like, I watched it and I was like, my mouth was open the whole time because I couldn't believe that this was A, real thing, B, that they would agree to be on TV to say these
Yeah.
things. Because nobody is learning any lesson from these people.
No.
There's no lesson to be learned.
No, they're
Like,
not.
everything that has happened is just common sense. You don't do that.
Yeah.
Right? Right? But it's like, why would you embarrass
I
yourself?
know.
Because people are judging you now. Like,
Yeah.
you've put yourself out there and you're being judged for
Yeah.
being an insane parent.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like, I have the same feeling about this Michael Jackson documentary, and I'm going down a whole rabbit hole here. But, like, I feel like the parents, these mothers, this is your fault. Like, you wanted your kid to be near
But
Michael Jackson.
exactly.
You wanted the celebrity. You allowed your kid to sleep in a man's bed, a grown man's bed. What did you think was happening?
But I think it's a different generation too. Like for us, we would if like at our age and what we've learned, if something like that was to happen to our child, we would advocate for our child.
Yeah.
Right? When I was younger, something like that happened to me, and it was like my mom was a young mom, and it was like, no, that didn't happen,
Yeah.
and it's better to just pretend it didn't happen.
Yeah.
But it's more damaging. Whereas now, we know how to support our kids. There's resources for them.
Yeah, but do you really think that back in the day, like, I would like to think my parents would not say, like, oh yeah, go ahead and go sleep in this grown man's
But
bed.
it's Michael Jackson.
Right, but still, like,
We wouldn't.
I don't think my parents would either. I don't think my
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't.
But then you
it's
look
hard
at the
to
story
say.
of like Nicole Richie,
Yeah.
and you know her story, right?
Mhm.
Like her mother was
Yeah.
a groupie of Lionel Richie
Yeah.
and used to drag her as a tiny infant to his concerts.
Yeah.
And eventually gave her to Lionel Richie.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
But that's what I mean.
I mean, good for her. Like, she probably had a much better life as a result of that decision.
Yeah.
But it's like, that seems insane. Like, why would you do that?
But this is Michael Jackson. Like, people are crazy over Michael Jackson. And back then, if he was like, you know, like, for example, he's like, I can, you know, give your kid
I'll pay for his college
his
education.
college
have him
and
come
all
over.
the clothes he wants, and I'll send you guys on vacations, and it's Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson's not going to do something wrong. He's in the public eye,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So,
But
our
for me, like, I
generation, we're
watch this
smarter.
and I'm,
I'm
like,
sorry.
judging.
yeah,
Hard.
I know. But we're smarter.
Yeah.
We're not as naive. We have seen so much negativity in the past 20 years that has changed us.
Yeah, and I think that you're right. And I think that it could be access to information.
For sure.
Right? Like, we are more educated because there's greater access to stories like this,
But
right?
would you have thought 20 years ago, when everyone idolizes Michael Jackson, that he would have done these things? I would have never. I loved Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
In a million years, I mean, then he started becoming creepy, right?
But people are saying, like, his music is tainted and they don't want to listen to it anymore. And for me, it's like, I can't, I'm not at that level. Like, I really do put it on the parents.
Yeah.
Like, especially when, like, I know there was a time, and I was young when this was happening, but I know there was a time when he was being taken to court for things, and people were still exposing their children to them. And, like, some of these people on these documentaries have said, like, oh, he went to court, and, you know, I was a witness for him, and my parents told me to lie, and because we wanted to stay in his good graces, and all this stuff. So it's like, you know, like, people willingly exposed their children to him, knowing
it's
that he
100%
had
on the
issues.
parents. It's
So I'm not
100%.
going to say, like, that takes away from his talent. Like, he's still talented,
He's
and
still
I still
talented.
love his music, and I'm
you know,
still
at
going
the
to
end of
listen
the
to it.
day, he's not here to defend himself.
No.
So we will never know I'm not
Right.
I'm not downplaying what these people are saying.
Yeah.
And I do agree that he's really creepy, especially in the end of his life.
Yeah.
But we don't know the truth, and we'll never actually know the truth.
No.
But he had such a messed up childhood too.
Right.
That, like, a lot of that
Right.
came out at the end
Yeah.
as well.
Right, and that's the rabbit hole. It's
Yeah.
like, you know, is it justified because, you know, like, to me, like, his father seemed really creepy, and he was pimped out at a very young
Right.
age. So, like, what did he go through as a child? You know, like, I feel like when you put your kids out there in a public way, when they're so vulnerable and young, they're open to predators for sure.
For sure.
Like, you're putting them, you know, you're exposing them to that, and it's like, at the same time, it's like, it happens in people's own families.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know about you, but, like, I'm super skeptical of everyone.
Yeah.
Right? So like, I had an experience as a young child with a family member that actually ended up going to court because it was like a molestation thing, and I don't remember the incident happening. I remember the court happening, because I remember my grandparents being involved, and I remember going to court, and I remember, like, my grandfather not talking to me. And I remember being very hurt by that because I loved my grandfather so much, and I couldn't understand why he wasn't talking to me. But it was like, you know, it happens with people that you think you can trust, right?
This
people,
for me, it was our babysitter's son.
Right.
When I was 3.
Right.
And I look at my 3-year-old now, and I'm like, how is this possible?
Right.
But again, like, I remember the incident. I always did, and but it never went to court because it was never believed. Like, it was almost like, you're 3, you didn't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's impossible, and it traumatized me for the rest of my life.
Yeah. See, for me, my dad was like so I think for my dad, you know, I was his firstborn. I'm his girl. I have been his world since the day that I was born, you know? And so when this accusation came out of this incident, it broke him in a way that I don't think he, like, was prepared to deal with. Like, he was devastated that, you know, he had allowed this to happen to his daughter. And so he was adamant of, like, this is going to court. We're pressing charges. I don't care who this person is.
Yeah.
You know, and that put a lot of strain, obviously, on my parents' relationship.
Yeah.
Because the individual accused was in my mother's family. And but my dad was like, my dad wouldn't let it go.
Yeah, that
my
he
dad
advocated
wouldn't
for
let
you.
it go. But to your point, it's like the not knowing for me has also been bad, because it's like, well, what happened to me? You know, and I think that as a result of that and the knowledge of it, it's like you become sexualized at a very young age.
Yeah,
That's not appropriate to your maturity level, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it impacts you. I know for me, it impacted me for sure. When I became of age, and
it had made me a different person. I always even though it was such a young age, it's sad and scary, but I would actually also watch him do this to his own sister.
Yeah.
And so for me, that was put in front of me at such an early age, but I also went through years and years of, did this really happen? Because I was told it didn't happen.
Yeah.
And I actually, probably 10 years ago, put myself into a trauma therapy, because I couldn't understand what was happening in my head with the struggle of, did it happen? Did not happen?
Right.
And it's weird, because there was always this, as funny as it sounds, Aquafresh toothpaste, the one in the tube.
Yeah.
And every time I saw
the tricolor one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every time I saw this toothpaste, I would get this weird, I can't use that. And I didn't understand why.
Yeah.
So I put myself into this therapy, and it's kind of it brings you back. So you close your eyes, and I was like, this is so wonky.
It's like
I don't know what
sort of thing
is happening, but this isn't going to work.
Right.
But it worked. And that Aquafresh toothpaste was actually, when this incident happened, I was focusing on that toothpaste to take myself out of what was actually happening.
Right.
And you don't realize these things. But
connections.
Right. Yeah. And so that was a break for me. And I was like, you know what? I'm good. I can fight this. And I don't have to pretend it didn't happen.
Yeah.
I don't have to be ashamed about it.
Yeah.
But it felt I don't know if this happened to you, but growing up, I always got into these situations where I remember my stepdad's uncle tried to kiss me when I was 16, and I felt like men were for the rest of my life.
They could identify that you were damaged.
Broken.
Yes.
Yeah. And then it became and then I was in a relationship with my ex, not my ex-husband, but my ex, and it was like he knew, because I told him in the beginning.
Yeah.
Because when I met him, I was going through this therapy, and it's almost like he used that. Yeah. Against
as
me.
a weapon of manipulation.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then it became I went through a period where I was really promiscuous, growing college days and whatever, because I didn't know what to do with all these thoughts. I kept thinking, well, if all these men are attracted to me, and they're older, and what?
Yes.
It's me.
Yeah.
I'm bringing this on. But it's not. At the end of the day, it wasn't ever me.
Yeah.
But you don't know that.
I don't know. For me, I was in a constant state of did it happen, didn't happen to the same degree as you, but nobody wanted to talk about it, so I could never get any answers about what is actually going on here. And then in my teen years, had, a good friend of mine violently assault me. Why? I don't know, but he felt like he could, and he did. And my mother's boyfriend had a fixation with me. He was a drunk, okay, so he had a lot of issues himself, but he had a fixation with me that was very unhealthy, and I had to get away from him.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it was because of the things that I experienced when I was a child, but it just seemed to continue.
It did.
My whole life.
Yeah.
And so for me now, as a mother, especially of girls, I'm very suspect of people.
Of course.
I'm
and
super suspect of people.
And it's not a bad thing.
So yesterday when this incident happened and I started freaking out, it's this is where my mind is going, because I know that for me, I have been violated by adults and by peers to a degree that, my parents would never have expected, right? And didn't anticipate and weren't, the first time, yes, they were there, but weren't there to support me through it. So it's
I really think if I was to ask my mom now, she'd be like, "Oh no, that didn't happen," and I don't know if she actually didn't still doesn't believe me that it didn't happen, or if it's her way of not hurting that it happened to her child.
Right.
And I don't
It's like
think
self-preservation,
malicious.
right? It's like I need to
exactly.
preserve myself because
Yeah.
for me to mentally accept that this happened to my daughter,
Mhm.
I allowed it to
Mhm.
happen and I didn't do anything for her.
Right.
Like that's very damaging.
It's very damaging because
Yeah.
you're so like I literally remember spending like so many years in my childhood so confused,
Yeah.
inside as to like what happened, and so much shame.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Well, there
I felt
became
dirty for a long time.
Yeah, there became this disconnection in my
Yeah.
family on my mom's side
Yeah.
that I felt responsible for and
Right.
carried the weight of.
Of course.
Like I carried this weight
Yeah.
because I knew no one was talking to me about it.
Yeah.
But I knew nobody had
Yeah.
to say anything that
Yeah.
this was happening because of something that I did.
Mhm.
Even though really like the person who was involved in this incident like has severe mental problems
Mhm.
and has continued to have severe mental problems well into his adulthood.
Mhm.
And you know, it was really on him,
Mhm.
not on me,
Mhm.
because I was like a small child.
Yeah.
But because nobody said anything, nobody talked about it, I carried that weight, and it definitely impacted the way that I behaved as a young adult.
Yes.
As
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, and you know, I had to go to a lot of therapy to
Yeah.
help me through
Yeah.
you know a lot of that stuff,
Yeah.
and I had
Yeah.
you know a lot of issues that
And a lot of shame comes with it too, right?
Right.
I don't think I've actually talked about it. The last year probably is the first time.
Yeah.
Like the closest people in my life don't even know.
Yeah.
Because you feel like and that's why it's coming out now that it's okay to talk about it, because so many people are living like you'll say, oh, this happened to me, and 10 other people in the room
are standing up and saying,
that
yeah,
happened
me
to
too.
me too.
Yeah.
And it's so sad because I would never want my kids to. I'd rather them just talk to me about it if it
Yes.
happened,
Yes.
and you can help them process it.
Well, I've started having thoughts in my mind. I mean, Mila is still really young, but like, you know, I want to be able to say to her, like, this is what happened to me.
Mm-hmm.
You need to protect yourself,
Yeah.
right? So like, I don't even think that I've told my parents, you know, about what happened to me when I was a teenager, because, you know, he was a friend of mine, and it was very traumatizing, and I was very ashamed of it, that it happened to me. And like, to carry the shame further, this individual went on and violently, even more violently, attacked another girl to the point where she was, you know, very physically injured, like almost killed. And it happened after he did it to me. And if I had just done something, this wouldn't have happened to her. So then I carried the weight of all of that. And so for me today, it's like, I want to be able to say to my girls, like, listen, not to tell you that you can't trust people, but there are bad people out there that disguise themselves as friends, that will take the opportunity, if it arises, to hurt you.
Yes.
So if you allow yourself to be inebriated or whatever to the point where you can't take care of yourself, there might be someone there in the shadows waiting for that opportunity.
Yeah.
And I hope that I can save them from that, right? And as a result of the things that happened to me as a child, I do not allow my children to be babysat by people.
Yeah. Oh no.
So we don't have
No, me neither.
babysitters.
Yeah.
I don't have teenagers come over and babysit my kids. And maybe that's wrong. And maybe
No.
I'm doing, you know, myself a disservice because I don't go out very much. Like, me and my Daniel don't have a lot of alone time together.
But there's time
but
for
it's
that.
like,
I
you
mean,
know,
we have one sitter who's amazing. She's 16. I know her mom. And to be honest, I'm not as threatened by women. Like, and she's so young.
Right.
And I trust her fully.
Right.
But I couldn't do and I know there's so many amazing home daycares, but it couldn't because of what happened to me in that scenario. My first son went to a home daycare of a friend, so she was my friend.
Yes.
But even all this media about these daycare center men and whatever.
Yeah.
And I feel awful thinking, but I wouldn't have let my son be in that situation. I don't think I would put him in a class. And it sounds awful. Sure, in grade school, I think it is amazing to have the male teachers because that helps the boys especially have that figure. But in a daycare setting, I would not put my son...
No.
But that's me.
But I feel the same way.
And it's
I
sad though,
can't-
because I'm sure there are amazing
I'm sure that
male
there are,
ECEs.
yes. But it's the old adage. It's like one can spoil the bunch, right? One is rotten, it spoils the bunch. That's just the way that it is. And there have been too many, like, rotten, disgusting scenarios that have happened for me not to think like this is a pattern. This could happen again, right?
Yeah.
So it's like I do everything that I can to eliminate the risk.
But not
right?
only that too, like male teachers, I know a lot of them, they're great. But I can't even think of one guy in my life, friend, family, Greg, whatever, that would actually want to work in a daycare.
No, me neither. I've never met
so
a
to
man
me,
that's
it's
like,
weird.
oh, I want to work in a daycare. Yeah.
Because you're cuddling my child, you are changing my child's diaper. Like,
Yeah.
to me, it's like men normally, and I'm sure there are the exception, they don't want to be in that situation. Yeah, they want to be teachers, they want to be gym teachers, they want to be like
And they
school
want to be
teachers.
fathers.
Of course,
Yeah.
and that's totally normal, and uncles and whatever, but to me the whole EC thing is, and it's coming out now more that this is happening, right?
Well,
it's very
yeah,
sad.
that like people are using it as a way to, like, you know, I don't know. I don't even want to say it. It's so disturbing to me. I read an article recently about a guy at a daycare, and I was just like, oh my god, I can't read this. Like,
I know.
if I read this, it's just going to make me even more paranoid.
I know.
And it's not a great way to live your life. I get that. Like,
I'm
you
the
shouldn't
same.
live your life paranoid. However, I firmly feel that, you know, it's my responsibility as their mother to keep them out of harm's way.
I would
So
rather
if
be the
I
paranoid parent than the lax one.
Yeah, eliminate the risk, then I'm fine. You know, like I get like they need to have life experience, but they don't need that kind of life experience. You know what I
they
mean?
don't need that.
They really don't. And it's like I can't. So we live super close to the school, and I still don't let them walk by themselves.
Oh no, I won't.
And you know, Dana will say to me, "He's like, I mean, what's gonna happen? There's so many people around, and it's like, I don't know. It just takes that one day with the one psycho driving amongst the parents to stop and
or
pick up
like,
my kids.
not that like I can picture my kids like. My middle son would run for his life.
Yeah.
My oldest one, you could convince him with like anything that you are like your mom's best friend, and you haven't met me, but your mom told me to come get you, and he would be like, and it's just because he's naive.
Right.
It's just because he's a kind-hearted, naive child.
Right.
Whereas my middle one would be like, no chance.
Yeah.
Right.
So I tried to do this password thing with my kids.
Oh, yeah.
Like I've tried. Like I don't know if it would ever work, but I'm like, if you ever get into this situation where someone you don't know wants to pick you up and says like, your mom has sent me, or your dad has sent me, like this, you ask them for the family password.
Yeah.
And like, so I've done everything I feel like I can to try and help them not get into those situations. But it's like, I don't know, how much control do I actually have? And the thought of them being teenagers and being out in the world, like, just sends
Did you
me
ever
over the deep end.
see that video of the guy who had the puppy at the park on YouTube?
I think so, yeah.
Oh,
and he
yes.
said, what do you think will happen if I tell your child that I have more puppies in a van?
Yeah.
And they're like, no way my child would go.
No, those kids are
and
going.
then every single child was like, more puppies? Let's go.
My kid, I can totally see him doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what? Most kids would, and it's just because these predators are like, it's like
So
we were
good.
talking about the like the narcissism, and they convince you that they are like the nicest person, and
they have puppies. So
and if you're kind, you fall for it. It's like you know.
But we also preach to our kids, like, be kind, be nice to other people, you know, don't be, you know, but it's like, how do you identify predators, right? And that's what, like, for me, that's, the lines were so blurred because the predator was in my own family.
Yeah.
So if the predator is in my family and other people in my family love this person and, you know, X, Y, and Z, like, how am I supposed to identify a predator outside?
Correct. Yeah.
You know, it's like, how do I even distinguish who is a bad person? Yeah, you can't.
No, you
So it's like, that's why for me as an adult today with my children, it's like, I know the predators are out there.
Yeah.
But I also know that maybe they're in here. Like, I don't know. So it's like, I just feel like I'm always on. It's like, you have to be on.
Yeah, and you have to make them know that they can talk to you. And I think that's huge, right? Because I didn't, like, now I do. Now I could talk to my mom about anything. But, like, growing up, like, even when my stepdad's uncle, like, at 15 was, like, on top of me.
Yeah.
I never told my mom.
Right.
Because I thought,
It was my fault.
was I wearing something that,
Yeah.
like, made
Yeah,
him
yeah.
do that? Or, like,
Yeah.
did I imagine this? Like, was he, like, you
Yeah.
talk yourself out of it.
Yeah,
And-
like even my mom's boyfriend. You know, I woke up in the middle of the night. He was sitting on the end of my bed.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, my stepdad, too.
And like I didn't tell my mom, but like I felt the same way. Like,
And they don't
have
even
I
have
done
to do
something?
anything. Like, you
Yeah.
know, it's like with my stepdad, nothing happened. But it was always like the look or their like comments or like,
Yeah,
you
the
know,
intention.
same
You
thing,
knew the
waking up
intention was there.
and he would be sitting there or like get in your bed and like
Yeah.
as a 16-year-old girl, like I
Yeah.
don't think you should be getting in my bed, even to just like be a dad. Like
Yeah.
it's weird. It's
Like,
awkward.
you're not my
and-
real dad. My real dad
Right.
wouldn't even do that.
Right, no. And
So-
it even strained my relationship with my dad. So, like, I didn't have my real dad in my life for most of my life until I was, like, 18.
Yeah.
And I'm not even close. Like, I don't really hug him. I don't, like, I've
Yeah.
still got this wall. Like, I don't trust
Yeah.
Like, I love you, and I've grown to love you, but you're a guy. And
Yeah.
there's always going to be a wall there.
Yeah. I mean, I even in like my relationships, I have this very, like, I don't know if it's a policy, but I have this firm belief that it's very difficult for men and women to have platonic relationships. It's very difficult. Like, just in my experience and in what I've seen in other people's lives, like, I think it's
Yeah.
very difficult. So, you know, my expectation of my partner is
course.
that, you know, you don't have platonic female relationships that don't include me.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Right.
you can be friends with women,
But I wanna know
but I
them,
want to
or-
know them, and I want to be involved in the relationship because
Absolutely.
I don't believe that men and women are capable of having platonic relationships.
Because it's human nature to be attracted to people.
Right.
And the more you know them, the more
Right.
you become attracted.
Right. So I think that the same thing goes, unfortunately, sometimes with children of step families.
Of course.
We are not related by blood, so there is that
Yeah.
idea of like, oh, it's not wrong
Yeah.
because she's not really my niece.
Yes.
And, you know, whatever.
Of course.
So it takes away that element of, you know, that family bond,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it's like, I also firmly believe that when you're of a certain age, you don't need to be alone
No.
in a room with
No.
a step, you know, whatever. You know, and so recently I've even gone through the experience with my son, unfortunately, where he was accused by a classmate of raping him. Okay? So this happened just before Christmas, where I got a phone call from the principal. I can't even tell you, like, what was, like, so this is a friend that my son has had for, you know, a few years, you know. I know my son very well. Okay, like, I'm not one of those parents that doesn't spend time with their kids that like thinks like, oh, maybe
Lives in
this
a
could be a
bubble.
possibility, right? My son is the most innocent 10-year-old kid you could ever meet, right? So she tells me this, and I'm like, okay, this is definitely not happening, you know. But of course, you go down the rabbit hole of like, you know, what has led to this point that
Yeah.
here we are. So go to the police station. I'm having this whole, because of everything I've gone through, like, I'm having this whole thing of emotions of like, I can't believe this is happening, and now I have to talk to my son about what is rape. He's 10 years old. I haven't even
No
talked to him
idea,
about
yeah.
sex. Like, he doesn't know what that is.
No.
So, you know, it's taking away from his innocence in a way that, you know, I feel that I've worked so hard
Yeah.
to protect him and to maintain his innocence. And, you know, come to light, like, through investigation and whatever, this 100% has not occurred.
Yes.
My son has absolutely no idea what any of this is. And, you know, there's an element of me that wants to go and, like, lose my shit on this kid that is accused and his parents.
Yeah.
Because something fucked up is happening over there
of
in his
course.
house to make him say these things.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, I know now.
And how does
even,
this kid know about this?
Right.
stuff?
So I know even more now. It solidifies my belief that I have to do everything in my power
course.
to keep my child protected
Yes.
because there's, you know, these people out there.
Yeah.
But it's not just through adults, it's through children as well, which is something that is next level for me that I never even considered.
My kids would have no idea what that is.
Right,
And,
right.
and it's damaging and scary because you probably had to explain to him
Yes,
what that is. And
yes.
did you do this? And
Right.
like I can't imagine having to ask my kid, knowing in my head that they didn't, but having to actually ask it because you need to know.
Right.
Like, we're not living in a bubble here.
Right.
But I got to ask you this question.
Right.
But you're taking that innocence away.
Yeah. And I feel like enraged still to this day that this is the reality for my son. Like, they have done this to my son. And so now it's like, you know, are they even safe at school? Because there's children here, you know, who are exposed to this type of behavior, right? That are exposed in some way, whether through pornography or through, you know, it happening to them or whatever, that they're now exposing other people to it, right? So it's like, how do you even...
10.
Yeah. So how do you even... You know, how do you even make sure that you are protecting them? I like, it's a losing battle. I just, so, you know, they have this policy at the school where it's like, you can't go to the bathroom with someone of the same gender.
Right.
Right? And this is the reason why. And I never knew that, but this is the reason why they do that, because there's children that are, you know, being violated or potential, and it's like so fucked up. It's like, you know, that we never had to have that when I was in elementary school.
No.
But this is where we are today. So I just, I mean, I can't. I don't know
That's
how
sad.
to. It is very sad.
And I really truly hope that those parents are not living in a bubble and that they're actually trying to understand why their kid
Well, they have come after everything that happened. They have come to the school and still with the firm belief that my son has done this. And like, have been asking the school what they're doing to keep my son away from other kids, and like, it's a whole thing. I know, it's a whole thing, but the school's not doing anything because they know my son is 100% innocent. Nothing has happened. Yeah. But like, they're deluded. They're completely deluded. But
and
something
do you know,
has
like,
happened.
are you able to know the parents? Because I would be approaching them, but I know that the school won't tell you names and stuff.
No, I know.
Usually.
I've met the parents. Okay. Like, I could go down a whole thing about these parents, but. You know, the police advised me when I went to get the police report about this incident. They're like, stay away from the parents. Yeah. Like, stay away. My instinct is to go and knock on their door. I know where they live.
Of course.
Like, and be like, hello.
Yeah.
Thanks for ruining my Christmas. Thank you for doing this to my son. Thank you. You know.
Yeah.
But I can't. And I don't. Right? My focus is just on my kid.
Yeah.
It's like, how do I navigate him through this? How do I make sure that he comes out the other side and doesn't have the same sort of, you know, consequences that you and I experience later in life, right?
Oh, poor guy.
Did anyone ask this child what he thinks rape is?
I have no idea.
Because I wonder if this child even like knows what he's saying.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure that they've gone down this whole thing with him because, you know, to have a police investigation happen. Yeah. To have.
Is it something the parents you go to school and say that he did this, or does he actually know what rape is?
And again, like, for me as a parent, it's like I could only invest my energy into my own child. I can't invest, like, if I start investing my time in like, what are they doing over there? Or, like, I would lose my mind. Yeah, I really would.
You can't.
I would lose my mind. You're being so loud. Yes, you are. You're being so loud. Yeah. But it's like, I know how much experiences like that and relationships this early in life, like really starting from, you know, once you're able to really interact with people, impact you as an adult and the relationships you have as an adult. Because I know 100% that I allowed myself to be in unhealthy relationships because of the example that I saw growing up and because of the things that happened to me.
And you feel damaged, so you feel like, I'm not going to do better than this, so I might as well just be with this person. It's the best I'm going to get. Yep. Which is actually pretty sad because then you end up in the worst kinds of relationships. Yep. So I feel like what we need to do is really make our children understand that they deserve only the best.
But I think you can only make them feel that way through showing them a positive example, right? And through the way that you help them deal with adversity and things that are challenging, right? Yeah. So it's like, I think like when my kids make mistakes or they fuck up, like Caleb more so now because he's older and he's experiencing that. Yeah. I think that, you know, helping them to not lie, encouraging him to be honest, showing him acceptance in his failures and in the things that he's challenged with is the only way that I can teach him or help him feel that he's worthy and valuable.
Even if he makes mistakes.
Right.
Or fucks up.
Right. Like, I don't know, like, and that's just where my mind goes. That's the only way I can think to help him to see that and to show him an example of a healthy relationship, right? Mm-hmm. Yes. To the best of my ability. Like, you know, I'm not perfect.
Yeah.
I have a very broken road behind me. Yeah. As a result of that broken road, I have a lot of shit that Daniel has to put up with.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know,
sometimes I ask him, like, I am, like, with Greg, he's absolutely amazing. Like, I don't think I could have ever met somebody more perfect.
Yeah.
But I honestly, sometimes I just think, how does he deal with it? Because I still feel so damaged after years and years of therapy, and especially my last relationship, and still dealing with it. Yeah. Like, the damage and the narcissism and all of that, you know, constant. I wonder, like, is he going to be able to continue to be his in it? Because he's not tainted, right? And he comes from everything good, and his heart is good, and he's trusting. And I think we're so opposite because I am not like that. And and then I tell him things, and it was interesting because my therapist said, like, I had never talked about my ex.
Right.
You know, I told him a little bit of stuff, but not the really bad stuff.
Like the nitty-gritty stuff.
Yeah, and I'd never talked about, like, what happened to me when I was a child. And my therapist said a couple months ago, like, you're carrying a lot of this, and it's making you miserable, and in turn, it's going to drive you away from him.
Right, yeah.
And you need to sit down with him, and you need to lay it all out. And I kept thinking, but I don't want him to feel sorry for me. Yeah. And she goes, well, no, but that's what you've been inbred in. It was growing up. Don't talk about it. You just want people to feel sorry for you. Or
like you want attention.
You want attention. Yeah. And so I never did. So I actually sat down with him at a restaurant because I knew I couldn't do it at home because I would just cry and no words would come out. Right. And I kind of laid it all out for him. Yeah. And I could just tell in his eyes that it was overwhelming. Yeah. But it took such a big burden off because I will, you know, my ex, it could be every single day that he does something and it completely changes my mood, and then Greg will come home and not understand why I don't want to talk to the world, and I'm miserable and I'm a complete bitch, and this is why. So now he has a little bit of a window into why my mood can change immediately with a text message, right? And so, but it's
well, I mean, like, Daniel took on me, 2 exes, and 2 kids. Yeah. Basically. So that's what he took on. Same, so it was like, you're getting me, and it seems really great, you know, because I'm quite fabulous. Yeah. But, you know. Wonderful. Yeah. But truly, on the outside. You know, the road behind me is full of broken glass, and I am cut to shit, and, you know, as a result, I'm a bit of a psycho. Yeah. So it's like, surprise! You know, he has this joke that, like, as long as the attractive, like, the hot ratio is higher than the psycho ratio, it's okay. Like, he jokes about that. I'm like, oh, that's really funny. But truly, like, you know, we've had a lot of stumbling blocks because, you know, my mind is really messed up. Like,
mine is warped.
I have a lot of shit that happens.
Yeah, and I overthink. So, like, I will be home all day working, and I've been thinking of every bad thing in my life. Yeah, yeah. And then by the time he or the kids get home, I'm done. I can't emotionally even have a conversation. Yeah. I can't talk to you because I am so... in a mix of emotions of, was this all my fault? Am I actually crazy? He's convincing me I'm crazy. Right. So I must be crazy. Yeah. But all of this abuse and, like, it's
well, then it becomes like, is the person that you're in a relationship with gonna stay? Like, how long are they gonna stay? Do I have to mentally prepare that they're gonna leave one day? Yeah. Maybe they're already thinking about leaving. Oh my God. For me, it's like a mind fuck of, like, an avalanche.
And when it's too, and this is funny because I said this to my therapist too, I said, I'm not used to, like, my marriage was great. We never had issues. That was 7 years ago. Between that and now, it was abuse, emotional, everything, narcissism. It was just so awful. Yeah. And so now I'm like, what's normal? I'm not used to a normal relationship. I'm not being challenged. Yeah. I'm not worrying that you're cheating on me. I'm not, you know, being talked to like crap. I'm not trying to talk to a wall. Yes. And so it's hard for me to accept a normal relationship.
Yeah, for me too. Like, I'm highly skeptical all the time.
And it gets boring. I said to her, I'm like, it's almost like it's boring. She goes, no. You need to understand that that's normal.
Yeah, like no drama is a good thing. Like if you don't have any drama and you feel like, you know, you're bored, that probably means you're in a good place.
But
right?
it's hard to accept.
Yes, because even for me growing up, like watching my mother's relationships, there was always drama. There was like the roller coaster was always happening. So it's like for me, I find some sort of sick comfort in this roller coaster that happens. And now I'm with a man who comes from a family that's always been together.
Same with Greg,
Like they're still together to this day. So
and
like
they're happy and they have good values and like my mom did her best. I'm not, you know, it's nothing
same with
to do
mine.
with
My mom did the best she could with what she had.
Yes,
100%.
Exactly.
100%.
But yeah, it was like, you know, it's just a cycle, you know, and I never wanted that for my kids. Like,
me neither.
I always said I'm never getting divorced.
Me too.
I'm just gonna be.
Me too. That's
I'm gonna
hilarious.
be there, you know, and I'm gonna make this work, and
I'm gonna have
be a
this
good
wonderful
Catholic
family.
wife.
Yeah.
But I woke up one day, and my ex-husband didn't really do anything. It was like, I woke up and I was 30, and I was like, I'm not happy.
Yeah.
I didn't know what's wrong, but I'm not happy.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna stay because I'm not happy, because my mind is like, maybe I could cheat because I'm not happy.
Right.
And I don't want to do that to him.
Yeah.
And I don't want to raise my kids in a family where the mom's not 100% happy. And now I'm becoming snappy with him.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, I guess I'm getting divorced.
Yeah. And one day you woke up and it's like, well, today I'm gonna get divorced. Yeah. But it's important. Like, so my mentality is that life is very much too short. And it's like, I want to live my life and be, like, I know I'm not going to be happy all the time.
No.
But I want to be happy every day.
Yes.
In some moment.
At some point.
In the day, I would like to be happy and joyful and free. Like, those are my goals, right?
Yeah.
It's not going to happen every day.
Yeah.
But, like, I don't want to live on the roller coaster.
No.
And I don't want my kids to live there. No. So I was the same. I was like, I'm never going to do this to my kids.
Yeah.
However, in the pursuit of what I perceive to be a perfect life, I made decisions that weren't smart. And I forced myself into relationships that weren't right for me, right? Because I was chasing something that I didn't even understand how it worked, right? Yeah. So like, I'm chasing this perfect family, this perfect relationship. But at the time, in my early 20s, I didn't even know what that looked like. And I didn't even know how to achieve that.
But then you stay, like my with Finn's dad, it's like I stayed because I didn't think I could do any better.
Well, it becomes, at that point, it becomes though it's like, oh, I'm on my second relationship and I have another kid with a different person. And how am I going to go into the world with 3 kids, 2 different dads? Like, who's going to want to take that on? Yeah. And that was the same for me. It's like, how do I go out into the world? 2 failed relationships, 2 kids, 2 different dads. Yeah. And I know for sure with Daniel's parents, they definitely saw that as a red flag.
Oh, for sure.
It's like, what the fuck is wrong with this person?
Yeah, I remember
2 kids with 2 different dads.
Well, that was the thing. When I met Greg, it was funny because we had a conversation in the beginning, and he knew that I was divorced, and he knew that I had 3 kids. But I must have, I don't know, left out the fact that they're different dads.
Yeah.
And so there's 2 from one dad and 1 from the other. And so I remember just texting back and forth, and it had come up and I had mentioned, Finn's dad. And then he was like, oh, they're not this. And immediately I was like, he's gone. I might as well just stop texting.
Yeah. Throw the phone out the window.
Yeah. And I'm like, and I knew because he had always talked so highly of his family. And I'm like, what are they going to think? Like, you know, and I'm lucky because they've been nothing but accepting, and they love the boys, and so has he. But it was that stigma because when I was with Finn's dad, he would say that. Oh, you're lucky I'm with you with 2 kids. And he treated my kids like crap. And to be honest, I was like, when I say he treated them like crap, I mean, he yelled at them. He hated them. There was days when he wouldn't talk to them. He'd babysit, and I'd come home and he'd run to the door tattletaling of what they did the whole time. And like, you could just tell. My kids honestly felt so broken, and I didn't see it because I felt like I had to stay. Yeah. I can't do this again. Right. And so now it's like, and his family, you know, didn't really 100% accept. Like, they pretended they did, but
Yeah.
as soon as we split up, when Finn was 3 months old, I never heard from them again.
Of course, yeah.
Right? And I knew in my heart, I thought, how could you do this? Like,
Yeah.
I'm the mother of your grandson that you just had 3 months ago. His mom, I used to talk to on the phone every single day, pretty much.
Yeah.
And they're just gone. And I thought, I can't expose my kids to this ever again.
Well,
And I was single for so long, but it also because for the 3 years that I was, or the 2.5 years that I was single, I was constantly doing this mind fuck with him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Where it was like back and forth,
It was back and forth, and it was him.
Yeah.
He would say, "You're not going to find somebody.
Right. Of
No
course.
one's going to want you."
Yeah. Well, there was a period of time where Daniel and I were apart, like in the time that we've been together, and that's how I felt. I was like, oh, no one else is ever going to want me. And I remember, Mila's dad saying that. Like, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Like, you have 2 kids with 2 different dads. That's not attractive.
No.
Nobody's
Yeah,
going to think
exactly.
that's attractive.
Yeah.
And, like, even...
And then you start to think of your saggy boobs and your...
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Your
like,
mom
there's
body.
so much.
Yeah.
It's like, and it's so true. And then, in that time, it's like you go on these, and I don't know if you did this, but like you go on these like dating sites.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And like people just want you to send them naked pictures so that
Yeah.
they can send you dick pics. And I'm
Yeah.
like, what the fuck? Like,
not
I'm
only
really
that,
not going to find someone.
Some of
else.
them it became to a point like after 2 years that I would just say, okay, just so you know, like I have 3 kids. And some would just not message back.
Yeah,
They'd
this
be
is
like,
the opening line, right?
Yeah.
It's like, I have 2 kids, 2 different
Yeah.
dads, bye.
Yeah.
Like,
And it would
see
be
ya.
like,
Yeah.
fuck, man.
Yeah.
Like I think I'm like my picture's attractive. Like
Yeah.
there may be a filter on it, but like
Yeah. It still looks
attractive,
good.
but
Yeah.
not worth the 3 kids. And it,
Yeah. Well, I mean, Mila's dad's family,
Mm-hmm.
it was very, like, kind to me, and we definitely had a relationship. Like, his sister-in-law and I were very good friends. I'm the godmother to her second child.
Yeah.
The minute we weren't together, bye.
Bye.
Like, do you exist anymore? Are
I
you
can't
still,
understand that.
like, hello?
I know.
Like, am I just,
know.
yes, I left your brother-in-law.
Yeah.
Like, so fucking sue me.
Yeah.
I'm your, like, I don't even know this child
Yeah.
anymore. Like, he doesn't even know who I am. I'm his godmother. And it means
Yeah.
something to them. I know that it does.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that they've said now, like, oh, you have some other godmother.
Yeah.
I can only assume.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's like, I don't know who they are.
Yeah.
Like, they don't know me anymore. Like, we've been apart for 6 years. They don't know
But
me.
I know like 100% that they're very good at convincing everybody else that you are the bad guy. Like I know.
No, I'm definitely the bad guy.
Yeah.
Because I met Daniel and we've been
Yeah.
together basically the amount of time that
Yeah.
we were apart.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely the bad guy.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
I know for sure. Like I know that I was portrayed as the bad person.
Yeah. Yeah,
I was
for sure.
crazy because he would tell me I was crazy to my face. So
Yeah.
I can only imagine how crazy I am
Yeah.
to everybody else.
Yeah.
But
But I feel like it's important to say to people, and I'm definitely going to say this to my daughters, because you make a decision to have a child with someone, it's a big decision.
yeah.
But if that person you decide to have a child with does not respect you, does not treat you well, does not, share the same values, give you joy, you are not required
Obligated to
to
stay, no.
stay with that person in a relationship. My expectation of you would be that you do everything you can for yourself to be happy so that you can be a good mother
Yes.
to this child you've decided to have.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Like, I would never, ever say to any of my children that my expectation is that you stay in this relationship because you
Right.
made a decision to have a kid.
Right.
I think that there's so much, and I really, for me today, Daniel is someone that I can't imagine living without.
Yeah.
Like, he is imperfect, and things have happened in our relationship that have been very difficult, but I can't imagine not being with him. Like, when I think of my life, when these children are grown,
Yeah.
I look forward to the times when I can do things
You
with
too,
him.
yeah.
Like, I look forward to that, But, I think that and I think it's going to be really nice for my two youngest to grow up with mom and dad together. And I really hope that happens for both of them.
Yeah.
At the same time, I don't think that my older two are, disadvantaged because that didn't happen for them.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that it has been said to me many times that would be the case. You know? And I think that that's a misconception that people have. I think that if you can't have some sort of, what's the word? Some sort of, like, friendship. I think friendship is the wrong word, but like some sort of like respect with the other parent.
Right.
I think that then maybe there's a disservice done to the children, but I can tell you that for me, if I had stayed in these relationships, I would have been not only doing a disservice to myself, but to those two kids, right?
I agree. And it's actually sad because with my ex-husband and I, we do, like, we've had, hurdles, but we get along great, and it's all for the kids.
Yeah.
With my youngest, his dad and I don't think we'll ever get there.
Yeah, and
it's unhealthy for me to even try.
Right, and I have a similar feeling with my daughter's father. It's like I know that I'm doing the best that I can. Mm-hmm. I know that she's aware that there is, tension and animosity, as I'm sure maybe your son will be aware of when he's old enough to understand that. At the same time, I don't deny him access to her.
No.
I don't speak ill of him to her. I don't disparage her from loving him or wanting to spend time with him. Like, there's none of that happening, right?
But you also have to draw the line, like I've learned through therapy, is you have to disconnect sometimes. As much as you want, like I go through parts where I really want for him and I to get along.
Yes.
But everything he does, and he's proven it, is to get some sort of reaction, hurt, anger, sadness from me, and it's worse if I try. It's worse if I try and have a relationship even nicely because then I'm showing him a weakness, and he's only going to do something.
Well, and at the end of the day, I don't know if you feel the same, but I can only be responsible for my behavior.
Exactly.
If he decides to act a fool and invest in these ridiculous behaviors or, things to try and incite a reaction from me, that's on him. And that's a reflection of who he is and where he's at. I am in control of myself. So if I allow that to impact me or ruin my day or whatever, that's for me. That's a reflection of who I am. Yeah. So for me, I try, and it's so hard sometimes, but I try to just keep it on my side of the street. In my home, this is what happens. Yeah. I'm not going to allow that to impact what's happening in these four walls because he's not a part of this. Yeah. He exists outside of this. We interact for necessity, really, of what she needs, and that's it. Like, I don't need to invest further than that. No. Right? And some days are easier than others. Yes. And especially when she was your son's age, it was definitely much more challenging.
Yeah. Well, the thing, and for us too, like, I don't know how old Mila was, but like Finn was only 3 months old when we separated. Right. And I made the choice to leave, and I did. I heard a lot of people were like, well, you left with a newborn. Yeah. But I couldn't stay.
But it's like, even if you are the one who leaves, like, what does that mean? Like, are you in some way...
Well, you made this choice, right?
But does that mean that you get to endure abuse or
and that's
headache?
And so now I feel like it's just become the norm because, you know, I was so emotional for the first year or so, and I had really bad postpartum depression. Like, it was awful. And having that, and then being a single mom of a newborn, so my hormones are also out of whack. Right. And then I have 2 other kids, and I'm now single, by myself in a home, trying to figure things out. I'm on maternity leave. I'm a business owner, so I'm like no idea what's happening. And so I feel like our relationship just got so damaged that and because of his personality and how negative he is, it's almost like I can't just be your friend. I try, but he sees it as a weakness. Yeah. Instead of like my ex-husband and I, when we respect each other, we both have this like weight lifted off, and
Yes.
it makes life easier for us.
Sure.
Whereas
sure.
with my ex, it's not normal. It's there's so much tension and arguing.
Yeah.
And it's like this dark cloud. And I've been told by friends, like a very good friend of mine and a therapist, that it's my choice to now not let it bother me. And I really, really have to learn to do that.
Which is hard because, at least for me, like you do a certain dance with someone for so long, it becomes like habit. Yeah. And then one day it's like the fog clears and it's like, well, actually, no, I'm not going to do this dance with you anymore. Yes. And you decide to change. Yes. Well, chances are that person's going to stay the same. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of bumpy road ahead
and
with
a
changing
lot
that dance.
Yeah, like that gaslighting too.
Yeah.
Like, we'll have an argument and I know that it's legitimate in my head what is happening and why I'm upset. And then it becomes, you're crazy and this is why we argue, because you blow things out of proportion. Right. Where in my head, I'm like, I know I'm right. Yeah. But then as it goes down, and then the next day you see them picking up your kid, and they're nice, and you're like, oh man, I'm like, it must be, like, I must be crazy.
Yeah, like maybe I should be embarrassed for the way I reacted or the way that I feel. And then you start to regret it.
I wish I never did that.
Yes.
And then 2 days later, they do it again. They do something else again. Yeah, and it's like, and this was the roller coaster that I lived. Yeah. And it damaged me. It's like so damaging.
But it can't not, right?
So now I'm trying to actually, now that I'm happy in a happy relationship and I know what happiness is, and I'm comforted knowing that he's not going anywhere and he is for my best interest. Yeah. I now have to focus on not letting what my ex does affect me. Yeah. And I would say there's really, really good days. And I have pulled my shit together. Yeah. Considering where I was 3 years ago when I left with a newborn. Yeah. To I still busted my ass every day for these kids and grew my business and made sure that they never wanted for anything. Yeah. In fact, they probably get too much because I'm overcompensating because I feel like I've fucked up the first couple of years of their life.
The first half is a little rough,
but I mean, anybody can do it. It's just a matter. And so I feel like I know that I've accomplished so much since then, but there's just that little part where I have to work on myself and not let it get to me. Yeah.
I think that because I've been in a similar situation.
We're like living parallel lives.
Yes, we are. Yeah. It's very true.
Move over, bestie.
I know, right? Seriously. Whenever I see a woman that is struggling through something like that, or they have kids and they're alone and they're down, like I always feel so gravitated towards them with the message of like, nothing is impossible. No. Like, I don't know, I'm not a super, like, pro-women, like, I'm not totally political like that, like, that's just not who I am. I love women, but I'm not, like, overtly that way. But I firmly believe that women can do anything that they set their mind to. And even when society says that, you're a mother, you're never going to find this, or you can't have this because you're tied down to your kids. Yeah. It's so wrong and it's so not true. Yeah. And I always say to people, it's like, figure out what you want. Yeah. Like, what does your picture look like? Yeah. If it looks like another marriage and a happy home and whatever that is, like, draw your picture and get it. Yeah. Because it is possible. You can have it. And you don't need to fit into any box. Like, you can live an unconventional life and have happiness and define it for yourself. And that, for me, is what, like, is something that I've achieved through this relationship, right? Like, this relationship has shown me that, I can still have a healthy relationship, even though, I'm standing on 30 years of broken glass, right? Like, I can still have that, right?
I have a lot of, like, women that message me privately on Facebook that know me through, like, my business or whatever, and kind of, I've always sort of been, like, once I got through the first year where I didn't know I was even going to make it through life, some really dark times, I've always been pretty open about my situation and proud of it, because I didn't just sit back and think, well, I've got 3 kids, I'm just gonna sit at home and do nothing. Like, I'm going to do this for them, right? Like,
Well, the
I have no
example is
choice.
important too, right? Like
Right.
when you're down, I've always thought like when I'm down and out and,
Yeah.
and I'm seemingly alone
Yeah.
or like the chips are against me.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to fucking put in the work. My kids are going to
Yeah.
see that you can still have a great life.
Yeah.
You just need to work hard for it, right?
Yeah, you
I didn't want to lie down on the couch and cry and like,
No.
you know.
I mean, there was days when I wanted to.
Oh yeah, me too. There's days that I did, like
Of
especially when my
course.
kids weren't
Yeah.
with me.
Yeah.
Like there are days when I was like
I spent all
not
the time
getting out
that
of
my
my
kids
bed.
weren't with me for the first year crying.
Yeah, yeah,
And wondering,
yeah.
like,
Have I made a
literally
colossal
getting
mistake?
letters every day. Like,
Yeah.
I remember thinking, I'm not going to make it through tomorrow. Like,
Yeah.
I definitely was never suicidal, but I always thought, I'm not going to make it.
But it's also like, what
I'm
did
not.
I do to my life?
Yeah.
Like ashamed of
Yeah.
the decisions I've made
Yeah.
that have brought me to this point where like, you know, I can't get out of bed because I'm
No.
so ashamed of the decisions I made and I have no idea what's going to happen tomorrow.
No.
Like I have no fucking clue where I'm going to be tomorrow.
Yeah, and I always had this, like, I never had a nervous breakdown, but I always had this overwhelming feeling. Like, I literally can't, I used to say to my mom and friends, I can't take anything else. Like, I'm gonna break. Like,
It's like a house of cards or like the Jenga.
Yeah.
It's like too many bricks have been removed.
Yeah.
And it's all going
I'm
to fall
unstable.
down.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you take one more Jenga piece and everything is.
And then you have and with me, like I had the two boys, so I was trying to like still be a good mom to them. Where I'm like, I would go in the kitchen and just be like crying because I don't know what I'm doing and I'm being so hurt and and then a newborn like hanging off of me, and I remember like sitting there nursing him and it would just be him and I and just bawling my eyes out, thinking, I don't regret having you.
However,
But, like, I didn't plan on having you by myself.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here thinking, like, and now it's funny because him and I, like, I love all my kids equally.
Yes.
But him and I have this bond because it was literally just us.
Yeah.
His dad saw him, like, a couple hours here and there for the first 6 months. Like, I was nursing, so he couldn't take him for longer than that.
Yeah.
And it was God put him there because I wouldn't have made it through any of that without him. Because I feel like if he wasn't there, I'm not sure I would have made it through.
Yeah. And it's funny because it's not funny, but it's funny because my son and I, my oldest, have a very strong relationship. And it has been, like, he's a very sensitive boy. Yeah. He's not, like, a tough boy.
Yeah.
Like, he still wants to hold my hand.
Yeah.
He still wants to, you know, cuddle with me and stuff.
Yeah.
And people outside of us don't understand why that is the way it is.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
Because when he was a baby, I was broken. I was a mess. I was 24 years old in a terrible relationship. I was trying my hardest to work a job, to take care of him, to raise him, to do it by myself. And as a result of that, it was just him and I. And I relied on him, and he relied on me. And there's something that happened in that first 2 years that has just put us together like glue.
Yeah. I'm the same.
It's just
and you
the
love
way that
all
it
your
is.
kids the same.
Yes.
Like all of them,
Yes.
I love the same. The older two, I love the same. But they would leave for 50% of the time, and Finn never left. It was him and I, and it was like, if you're here to make me be strong enough to make it out okay.
Yeah.
Because if you weren't here, I would literally be wallowing and maybe drinking. I don't know what.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't have made it through.
Yeah.
I have to be okay for you.
Yeah.
You need me.
Yeah.
And yes, the boys need me, but they also have their constant, which is their dad. And it's like, what the fuck am I going to do? And then I'm dealing with postpartum.
Right.
And not even realizing how bad it was.
Right. Yeah.
And
because you have all these exterior circumstances happening.
And then I used to think like, because I'd never actually been alone in a house. Because when I got divorced, we were together for a bit, and then I kind of moved in with my ex.
Yeah.
And I was in a home by myself with these kids, and I remember thinking, what if I don't wake up one night?
Yeah.
Like, and they're here by themselves.
I know.
And
I
all these crazy thoughts.
Yes.
And I'm thinking,
well, it's like, what if I clap on the floor?
Yeah.
Claps on the floor. Like, who's gonna save?
Yeah.
Like, who's gonna call? Like, I 100% know. Like, there was one time I got shingles.
Oh God.
like when my kids were really young and I was alone and I could barely move.
Aww.
And I was like, I remember crawling down the stairs and Mila was probably 3 and Caleb was 5, almost 6. And like, I'm like, I don't even know what to do.
No.
Because I'm alone and I'm really sick. And then, so after that point, I was like, what if something really bad happens to me?
I know.
Like in this house and I literally can't even drag my ass down the stairs to get to call an ambulance or whatever. It's like, you know.
Even through that, you were saying, like, when people message me privately on Facebook, which actually happens quite a bit.
Right.
You know, asking for support and, like, what should I do? And I have never sugarcoated shit. People know
I'm not
that about
person
me.
Either.
I'm not going to tell you to stay and try and make it work.
Yes.
I'm going to give you the real shit.
Yeah.
You can do this.
Yeah.
You can leave. You can do this. I'm not going to pretend it's okay.
Right.
And a lot of the times the women are like, you're right.
Right.
Or I don't ever hear from them again because they probably thought I was going to say, like, you got to stay, you got to make it work, but you have one fucking life.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, if your husband or your partner does not make you happy, that is not going to change.
Never.
People don't change.
No.
People don't change.
No.
They can adjust.
Yes, and you can grow. I think
grow
there's an element
together.
of growth that happens in relationships.
But if you're with someone who is emotionally, sexually, physically,
like
mentally
to the
abusive,
core of their being, if they're abusive, you can't change that.
Yes, and this is what I say, and I've learned through therapy is that it was never me.
Yeah.
This is him to the core.
Yes.
And I tell people this. Listen. Your husband is not going to stop hitting you. He's not going to stop treating your kids like shit. And he's not going to stop drinking 24/7 because you think that one day he's going to wake up and realize how good his life is. Right. You need to get your shit together, make a plan, and you'll be happier. Even if you're alone.
Like, I don't know if this happened for you, but when things like that, or like when I've been in circumstances like that, like I can remember the day I moved in, like, I left Mila's dad and moved into my own house. I can remember the feeling when I moved in there and closed the door for the first time. And I just was like I get goosebumps thinking about it now because I can physically remember the feeling of exhaling and just feeling like, okay, I can breathe today. I can be who I am. Yeah. I can exist. I can make my own decisions. I can just do me, and everything is going to be fine.
Well, I've had people say like, "Oh, I've been thinking of leaving my husband for the last year," and I'll use the example where with Finn's dad, it went from everything's okay, and within 19 days. 2 children and a newborn baby, I packed my house and I got out of there because it became so toxic and scary and unhealthy that I wasn't going to let them live another day like that. And if I can do that with a 3-month-old hanging off my boob and no money, no income because I'm self-employed and I'm on mat leave and I just had a baby, then you can fucking do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's the really old cliche of like you can do what you set your mind to. Like if you are really set on doing something, it will happen. No matter what your circumstances you will make it happen. Yeah. Now people make excuses for themselves, like I can't because of
the
this,
kids,
I can't
or the
because
money,
of that,
or
whatever.
Who handles the bills,
right?
Or
like so that's when I feel because I've talked to people too, and I always say to them, I say, my thing is like. There's nothing wrong with where you are. No. If you're in a place where these excuses are keeping you stuck, then they're keeping you stuck. Yeah, that's just the way that it is. That's the way that it is, right? But if that's how it is, you have to accept that your husband is a drunk or you're not happy. Yeah. Because the excuses outweigh your desire to be on your own. But it's like, this is where you are. Live your truth. Yeah. Stay in this is where you are. This is your life, right? It's like,
but I've always been a firm believer, and I'm sure people think that I've failed relationships, and I'll probably fail this one, or like, but I am not a good mom unless I'm happy.
Yeah, me too. I can't. I'm a miserable bitch. Yeah. So like, I am a crusty bitch, and my kids pick up on it, right? Like if mom's not happy, like I don't hide it. Like I'm not like a Stepford wife that's like, hi, how was your day? My kids, my kids do too, and that's why like for me, it's like there needs to be some element of self-care where I'm putting myself in a situation where I am happy, or else everyone's going to be miserable. And I don't want to raise my kids to be codependent that way, where it's like, oh, I couldn't be happy because my mom was a miserable bitch. But when you're young, that impacts you.
That's what you see, right? But I'm glad because it's gotten better, but like I've done a lot of yelling out of like frustration and just like, how am I going to do this?
Yes,
and
of course.
Even up to recently, like I just get so overwhelmed with like the business and the kids and like every kid needs something at the same time and they're fighting. And customers needing something right now and I need to work because I can't put my job off. Right. Otherwise my kids don't have money. Yes. And I just snap. Like I just like, and then like 2 minutes later I'm like, and snap, I mean by like yelling. Yes. Like a crazy person. And then 5 minutes later. Like, not crazy. Not that crazy. But like I'll just scream and like I'll be so irrational and then I'll sit there and I'll think, what the fuck is wrong with you? This was not necessary. And then I spend the rest of the night like feeling guilty and like apologizing to the kids like I didn't mean to yell at you. I'm lying beside their beds as they sleep like bawling my eyes out because I'm like Yes. But we get overwhelmed and it's okay and like I feel like a lot of women don't let that out and they just pretend like I don't yell or like I'd never yell at my kids and I don't swear around my kids. My kids hear the F word probably like 20 times a day. Oh, yeah. Yeah, mine too. I yell because you know what? They don't listen to me. I say this to Greg like every single day that I have the kids. I will say something 5 times. In the span of 10 minutes. And no one even fucking looks at me. Yes. I scream and everybody moves. Why do I have to scream?
Well, sometimes I say to my kids like, so if mommy's like not yelling or not upset, I'm invisible. So, unfortunately for you, visible mommy is yelling at you. So, Dano's the same way. Like, he's like, if they don't listen to him once, like, his volume accelerates. And he said to them in calm moments, obviously, it's like, do you like when I yell at you? And they're like, no. And they're like, then he's listen. Like, okay. He's like, then just listen to what I say the first time, and I won't. I know. And it's like, I know. It's just.
I know. I've seen the transition in Greg too because he's extremely calm and patient. Yes. But like lately, I'll see him like because I'll say like I used to say to him like, you have to support me. Like if I'm screaming, don't look at me like I'm crazy because I can see your eyes and you're thinking I'm crazy.
And if you can see his eyes, the kids can see his eyes. So
now
and kids aren't stupid,
right? And he doesn't really scream. He hasn't got. They haven't broken him enough for him to scream yet. Yeah. But I've heard him raise his voice, and in the back, I'm like, yes. I'm like cheering. I'm like, see.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. No, I don't buy into the facade, and I think that there is something to be said about teaching your kids that it's okay to get upset with each other and to love each other through it. Yeah. Like, do you know what I mean? Because I think like a lot of, anyways, my perception of a lot of people is like yelling is bad and you shouldn't yell at your kids and you shouldn't yell at each other in front of your kids. But like for me, it's like I would like my kids to know that even if I'm mad at them and yelling at them, we're going to come back together because I'm your mom and I love you. Yeah. However, I'm not always going to like you and sometimes I'm going to want to yell at you. And when you get older, and I'm sure even now, but I mean, they're so young, you're going to want to yell at me. Yeah. Like, you're not always going to like the things that I say to you. Yeah. And you're going to yell at me. But at the end of the day, I'm your mom, you're my child, we love each other, we support each other, and we're going to come back together. And that's the same with me and Daniel. Like, we may yell at each other and disagree, but that's not something to be afraid of. No. That's something to embrace because we're different people. Yeah. However, we love each other, so at the end of the day, we're coming back to one another.
Well, it's funny because my kids said that. Like, Greg and I, we don't fight in front of them, but like we have our disagreements, and one of us is yelling. It's usually just me. Yeah. But my older sons were like, "Oh, Daddy," and his girlfriend. Well, they never yell. They never argue. They're always kissy. And in my head, I'm thinking that it's not real. Like.
Oh yeah, well Caleb is the same. He's like, oh, Daddy and Christina don't fight. And I was like, well,
not in front of you.
If I know your dad,
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know how that's possible.
Yes, exactly.
First of all. And I said, second of all, there's nothing wrong with fighting.
No,
there's nothing wrong.
It's healthy. I'm not going to throw a plate at you.
Right. I'm like, if Daniel was punching me in the face or like, you know, something extreme like that, you know, that then there's a problem. But every person, and I've said this to Caleb because he's older, I'm like, you know, when you get angry, right? You know what that feels like inside. And he says yes. And I say, like, sometimes you want to yell at your sister because she's making you angry, right?
Yeah.
And he says yes. And I said, sometimes you do yell at her, right? Right. And it's like, I go through that with him, and it's like, does that mean you don't love her?
Yeah.
Do you not go and apologize after or make amends? And he's like, right. I was like, well, it's the same thing when you're an adult and when you're in a relationship like we are. It's the same thing.
And you're two different people. This is what I say to Greg. I'm like, we're two different people living in one house, trying to be, you know, compatible.
Yeah, well,
and we're older. And as you get older,
right.
I mean, Daniel's young, but like, and he's, you know, he didn't go through the divorce and stuff, but like, Greg and I went through divorces each, and you, as you get older, you become this person, and you have to adjust and kind of like see.
It's all that broken glass behind you that makes it so much harder. And I say this too. It's like it's easy for normies. I call them normies. It's like people who don't have all the shit that we've just talked about happen to them. It's difficult for those types of people to have. You know, healthy, you know, successful relationships. Add on all the layers of shit that I have or you have or whatever. It's like even harder. Like, you know, sometimes, like, Daniel's not perfect and like he fucking drives me crazy. But I know that he's putting up with a lot of shit. Like 100%. He's shoveling through the shit with me a lot of the time. And I know that I'm very like fortunate to have someone look at me and say like, I'm gonna love you through all of this because you're worth it and you know, I'm in this with you. Like I don't take that for granted.
I have literally, and it's usually because I've like recently had a blow up with my ex, and I took it out on Greg because he was the one there, and I literally looked at him bawling my eyes out. Mascara down my face saying, you don't deserve this. Like, you deserve somebody better. And someone who's not broken.
I've had this conversation with Daniel.
And I literally feel that. Some days, I'm tearing up now because some days I think he does deserve better. Like, he's such a good person that he deserves someone who's not going to be fucking crazy.
But isn't that a reflection of how you feel about yourself?
Right.
Like, I'm positive he doesn't see that.
see that.
Yes.
And I can tell he doesn't see that because he doesn't do the things that I had in my unhealthy relationship. He just sees me, and 5 minutes later he's just kissing me, and I'm very like, because of my issues from my past, I'm not a touchy-feely person. It's very hard for me, except for my kids. My kids I could snuggle and kiss and just be with 24/7. But in relationships I now can't be like that. And that's all he wants to do. So like, I'm like, okay, you do love me, but you know, you feel bad, right?
And I, you know, like I feel the same way. Like I've come to understand through, you know, the time that we've been together that like my feelings like that are a reflection really of myself. They have nothing to do with him.
No.
Because I you know, he has shown me through his actions that he loves me and he's in this and he's staying and he's not going anywhere and he doesn't feel like he deserves better. He thinks I'm amazing. I'm the best, you know,
but
X,
it's
Y,
hard
and
to
Z.
believe that you are that amazing. Because I often think like he could be with somebody who like has no kids and like, you know, no baggage and no like, you know, always happy like he is. How are you always happy? Like you can't always be happy.
I know, I see that to Daniel too.
But he is happy. He's
fucking
always happy.
I know, we could be in the worst situation ever and he's like, it's gonna be okay. And I'm like, are you fucked? Like,
and I
what
get worse.
is happening?
And I'm like, I get even more mad. I'm like, how can you fucking be happy like 24/7? But I do, and I'm coming to realize that I am as amazing as he sees me. But I people say it to you. They say like, you're so successful, or like, you know, you don't look like you have, like, whatever people say. I don't ever believe it. Like, I feel like they're just telling me this to like
to be nice. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I feel you. Yes.
So-
Yes.
But with him, I'm starting to learn that he's bringing out the better side of me.
Yeah.
And
Daniel's
why-
always like, you can't take a compliment.
I can't.
Like, he's like, you always are suspect
Yeah.
of people's compliments.
It's hard, right?
Yeah, I can't. I always say thank you or
Yes.
something, but it's like, I don't really.
I always think, like, why are you saying that?
Like, you
Like,
don't
you're
have
just
to
trying
say
to
that.
be nice.
Like, I don't need the small talk.
Yeah.
Like,
It's
okay.
funny because I have a customer that I deliver to weekly,
Yeah.
a retail store, and
Yeah.
I will go in there like some days with like no makeup and like looking like crap, and
Yeah.
he literally says to me, "You look like shit today,"
Yeah.
and I believe that. Like,
Yeah.
and I totally accept that because I know.
Yes.
Right? I'm like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, I know I do.
Or like when people tell me I look tired, I'm like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, I know. Yeah,
Yeah.
I definitely am that. Yeah.
Or I'll like spend 5 hours cleaning my house, and then people come over, and I'm like, I'm so sorry, like my house is so a mess, and like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
just so tired, or whatever. And in my
Yeah.
head, I'm thinking, you're fucked. You just
Yeah.
spent the whole day.
Like, this is the cleanest this house has
Eat
ever
off my
been.
floor,
Yeah.
but you make excuses for yourself because
Yes.
you're like scared of the
Judgment.
judgment.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. Trust me, having people in my home is very stressful for me because it's like,
Who cares? You have
well,
kids, like
I
so
know.
many of them.
I know, but
Still
it's like,
apologizes every time.
I
Like,
do,
oh, I'm coming
yeah.
over. Oh, my house is a mess. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, they
Like,
care.
we don't invest in fancy
No.
things because my kids are going to destroy them.
Yeah.
But I go to people's houses and they have all these, like, nice new furniture. And it's like,
no.
I can't do it
No.
because, A, I have 4 kids.
Yeah.
And B, they trash fucking
everything.
everything.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like, we buy the cheapest shit you can get. A lot of it is from IKEA
Yeah.
because
Same
we
here.
don't give a shit.
Yeah.
And, like, they're going to trash it. And then when
Yeah.
they're all grown up, we'll worry
Yeah.
about what the
Well,
interior
we're just
of our
starting
house
to
looks
get
like.
like some nicer stuff.
Yeah.
But like our couch, it smells like dog week. We're going away this week,
Yeah.
just to Florida, and we have a lady coming to stay with the dogs
Yeah.
because that we forgot that someone has
Yeah.
to watch the dogs. And Greg's like, "Can you want another one?"
Yeah.
But I used to be like, no, but the kids couldn't even like, they'd have to sit on blankets on the couch, and now we
Yeah.
have 2 puppies that are like all over the couch.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm like, I need to wash the throw blankets because if she grabs one,
Like to
it
snuggle on
smells
the
like
couch.
dog, and
Yeah.
it's probably got like my kids' boogers all over it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I need to do this, but
I know.
I used to even like when I first met Greg. My floors always have had to be spick and span. I didn't
Okay.
really care about anything else, but for me it was the floors. Something
Yeah.
about the floors having to be clean.
Okay.
And now I'm like, I can go like a week and my floors are so bad.
A week.
Yeah.
And I feel like I've grown.
Yeah.
But remember, like I'm also working, so there's
Yeah.
like, you know, they get sticky because of like
true.
the icing sugar and whatever.
I have this new thing where if my older kids are home, so it's like
Yeah.
every other week, I don't clean shit.
Yeah.
The floor doesn't get clean.
Yeah.
The vacuum doesn't get
Yes.
run. Like, I don't do
Yeah.
any of that
Yeah.
because it's futile.
Yeah.
And the anger that I feel
When they
towards
mess it
them after they've messed it up is not worth it for anyone.
No.
It's not worth it for me.
No.
And it's certainly not
No.
beneficial to them or their time here. So
No.
I'm just like, you know what? The week that you're gone with your dad,
Yeah.
this is when I will clean.
Yeah.
How I'm going to manage it once these two are a little bit bigger, creating
Yeah.
chaos, I have absolutely no idea. There's no plan for that.
No.
But for now, this is what works.
Yeah.
And I don't care about it. And you know, for me, it's like I do not want to spend my time with my kids stressing about a
No,
mess. Like,
you
I'm not going to
can't.
stress about the
No.
mess. Like, let's just enjoy our space.
Yeah.
and our
Mine are
time.
older now, so it's easier.
Yeah.
But same thing, like I'll clean, like if they're coming back on Wednesday, I'll clean Wednesday during the day, but I don't do it till they're gone again. Like,
Yeah.
you know, because they're just going to mess it up.
Yes. Yes.
And I don't want to yell at them because they got stuff on the floor. Like, it's not worth it anymore.
I was literally thinking today, because we had fajitas for dinner, which includes rice, and I was literally thinking this morning, why do I serve rice?
Yeah.
Most of the rice that I serve ends up on the floor.
Yeah.
Like, do they even ingest any of it? I was like,
Rice is the worst.
sleeping copious amounts of rice from the
But
floor.
you have to let
and
it
it's
dry
like,
before you clean it.
Yeah, I just
You
leave it
do.
overnight.
You just leave it there
'cause
till
it
it hardens.
sticks. Yeah.
And then you clean it.
Yeah, that's right.
That's a
Yeah.
mom thing.
Yeah, that is 100% a mom thing. Mom hack. Do not sweep freshly
Rice.
fallen rice.
Leave it.
Leave 24 hours, then sweep.
Yeah.
You'll thank me later. Right? I know. Anyways, it was a pleasure.
It was
Thanks for
awesome.
coming again.
Yeah,
I really
yeah.
appreciate it.
It's always fun.
Yeah. Well, I learned a lot.
Yeah.
Me too.
We are living this life. Like,
Yeah.
but it's actually comforting knowing I'm not the only person with so much
sure.
damage, right?
And that's why for me, like, this whole thing is important, right? Because
Yeah.
I think that there's so many people that I interact with every day that probably have similar things going on for themselves that I don't even know about, right?
Well,
and
this
it's
is
so
why,
isolating, right?
This is why I said to you, like, I'm totally willing to just open up because if you can reach one person, it's enough, right?
Yeah,
There's so many people living, like, you want people to know you're normal. Like, it's normal to be like this.
Yeah, and there's so many platforms where people talk about, like, mom things, like things that have to do with being a mom.
But that's it.
But it's not about who you are,
moms.
right? And I read something recently, like a few months ago, that was like, you had an identity before your identity was mom.
Yeah.
And that identity is still important.
It's still there.
And for me, at the time when I read this, it was so heavy because I was lost in this new mom sea of depression and like all these things that I was like, oh yeah, I need to find my way back to her, right? And I need to still work through the things that are difficult for me as Christine, not as mom. Yeah. Right? Yeah. And I think that a lot of people
don't lose yourself behind your mom title. You're still a person underneath, because when those kids are grown, you've lost yourself. What are you going to do?
Right. And I recently spoke to someone who, you know, their mom, once her kids were grown, had not dealt with her issues for, 25, 27 years, ended up taking her own life, you know, in her 50s because she just didn't, she couldn't find herself
You
again.
have to be strong, like, and happy within yourself and growing and learn. Like, I'm 36 and I'm just growing now. Yes. It took me this long to become the person that I am. Yeah. And for everyone that means something different. Like, some days for me, it just means I have to get up and put makeup on. Yep. And then I'll be fine for the day. Yeah. And some days I just don't want to, and I want to be in, like, pajamas. Yep. But you have to find within yourself what is going to keep you as your identity before mom.
Yeah. And not forgetting that person. Yeah. Thank you.
All right.
So much. So much. Thanks for listening, guys.